Hello, I'm Mark. Welcome to my channel. And today we're going to do a deep dive into my poem called Yes and. First, I have a question. Do you have a collection of labels? That describes my experience of life with a collection of labels. I have labels like complex PTSD, post-concussion syndrome, general anxiety disorder, and I'm disabled. What labels do you have? Put them in the comments if you so are bold enough. This poem, Yes and, came about because I took this class from Dr. Michael Smith at Soma Qigong, and the class was called Embodied Psychotherapy, and it's for people who are working on themselves and people who therapeutically help others who are working on themselves. It was one of those courses you can get continuing credits for. Anyway, one big part of this class that I took was a selfing project. And he turned creating yourself, working on yourself, into a really fun project. Um, and as this poem unfolds, I'll give you some insights into it. But let's dig right in. The poem Yes and. Deep harmonic grooves, my sad, sad selves, lamenting, yes and. In this first stanza, if you live a life in this world with our hyper information, doom scrolling, and existential threats, I think you might be in need of a good lament. And this poem, Yes and, is a terrific lament and provides some little interesting solutions on how we might change our state. This poem, Lament, is dedicated to the struggle of showing up as yourself for yourself. Next stanza. What will grow from this rich soil? Resource rich, yes and, open to. Simply saying the words yes and opens. It opens us up from a restrictive state. But when you're in a restrictive state, like being in survival mode and hypervigilant, saying yes and doesn't sound very simple or feel very simple. The next two stanzas here. In and out of conscious awareness, a wrestling match of my pirate selves. See my scar? Show me yours. I'll show you mine. Tear-infused scar comparison sentiment. We all gain scars and traumas, and it tends to shift our energy. And if we don't have the resources to help us work through it, it can create these little fractured parts of ourselves, and we can become trapped in states, unpleasant states like a state of despair or depression. It, each of these less than ideal states, we could say, are a form of a dysregulated nervous system. The next section, sentiment becomes cement. A cement sidewalk. Look up, look ahead to the next sad song. Our next scar is already taking shape. This section talks about how these fragmented parts of ourselves that become in charge and help keep us locked into a state of survival, being in survival mode, being in fear or feeling like you're in danger. These are all normal things if you have a bunch of labels or some chronic conditions. Um, Evidence of a dysregulated nervous system. And it can feel like cement. Sentiment becomes cement. My chronic pain sensations often will paralyze me, and I spend many hours on the couch. Um, is my reality. But I need to face what is. Is being on the couch restful and helpful to me, or could I be doing something else? And here is where this life-nourishing practice of yes and can come in and just knock on the door, and you can inquire with curiosity, could I be also doing something else? And it can shift our energy. So when I'm stuck in the sentimental country song mode of life, having a lament, which is perfectly okay to do. It also is restrictive in the sense of my agency to be able to do other things. Our next scar is already taking shape, that last line there. Sentiment, it bears down into the future. So when I'm in a very restrictive state, let's say where it feels like everything's dangerous, the idea of going shopping seems dangerous, leaving the house seems dangerous to my nervous system, having pain sensations, it'll probably hurt, so I shouldn't do it. That kind of energy. It bears into the future because it shapes the decisions we are able to make. The next stanza, stuck in sidewalk, that cement, knee-deep, seething sentiment, yes and. If you live in this current tumultuous world, you might have a part of yourself that is seething, and perhaps it can benefit from a lament and the life-nourishing practice of yes and. The next stanza, skillful, my yes and just met up with my even though. Every choice a new torture. Before I encountered yes and from my teacher, Dr. Smith, at Soma Qigong, I was using the device even though. So even though I was hurting, um, I would try to choose something else. And this yes and is even a wonderful addition to even though. Even though I have pain sensations, I'm going to choose to walk anyway. Yes, yes, this is true that pain sensations exist. This is true with whatever calamities we have acquired are happening. Yes, and yes, this is true. And what could I do next? What also could I do that could come alongside? I see your brilliantness, even though there is stink and dirt and judgment. I don't like it. I resist. Yes, and. I'm trying to install an elevator to get me out of this mess. We are becoming visibly upset. The end of this section, we're installing an elevator to get out, to get away, to move. And that is the normal response to feeling trapped in cement with or an emotional state, a mental state that's just stuck in worry or anxiety or danger. Trying to get away, trying to get out is the motivating factor for all of our soothing behaviors, which they help us. That's why we have soothing behaviors. And it also has this component of resisting what is. And here's where this practice of yes and can really open up. And it's the life nourishing practice of yes and is an insight into the quality of radical self-acceptance. Yes, this is happening. I accept it fully. I'm not going to resist anymore. But what else could I possibly be doing? What could open up? I skip a couple of stanzas here and zero in on two lines. I'm nervous, but didn't we just build this self? At the beginning, I mentioned the selfing project with this class I was taking. In the class, Dr. Smith described looking at yourself as three different parts and developing the practice of checking in on these three different parts and kind of taking a temperature or a measurement, an inquiry. What are these three parts up to? And by doing so, you develop a pattern of looking in and checking in, and then applying this practice of yes and can help shift your state. So the three parts are the body, the heart, and the mind. In the body, it has a range. When you check in with your body, it might be like cement. Like my body's telling me I'm in danger and I can't go anywhere. Or it could be all the way to the other end of the spectrum. I'm ready for action. I feel totally alive. And the heart, checking in with the heart. Does my heart, my emotions, my ability to relate to the things around me and people, am I a drama queen hiding under a blanket? Is that the state of my heart? Or can I be with my feelings and also be stable and okay with that, whatever's happening, and be open to having a relationship with the world around me. This kind of a state. So check in with your body, check in with your heart, and then check in with the mind. What dialogue loops do I have going on? Danger, danger, danger. Worry, worry, worry. Or is it I'm curious? Let's play. And so there's this whole range of how we feel and experience life. It's a beautiful range. When we're stuck in these less than ideal states, we can use this more skillfully, uh, the practice of yes and shift into a better state. I check whenever I check in. I just write the answers to those 3 questions on my notebook. I have hundreds of entries, which led to this poem. Next stanza. I hear a loud noise. There are parts everywhere. I'm deep in this shit show. My skillful self planting seeds. When we notice we're deep into it, that's when we need yes and the most. And by cultivating this practice, we can become more and more in the habit of planting seeds. And I would strongly consider making this device of yes and your ally. Just today in my life, this morning, I woke up and my pain sensations were higher and I did not feel like moving. And I said yes and to our moving practice. And my wife Stacy and I did our moving practice, and I actually felt better after the practice than before, which is often the case, and it's quite beautiful. Yes and is blessing me. Then a half an hour later, I didn't feel like leaving the house before 9, which is my practice, to put my shoes on and walk through the door before 9 a.m. And I put my shoes on because I have proven that whether I feel like it or not, going out actually makes me feel better. And when I get to the senior center, I get to be around other people, and that helps regulate me socially and open up many possibilities. And then just a few minutes ago, with high anxiety um, and increased pain, when you have higher anxiety levels, it tends to increase all the other things you have going on, including pain. And I didn't feel like filming. And this happened yesterday and I didn't make it. But today I am saying yes and we're giving it another try. And here I am. So I'm living proof that yes and is a beautiful practice to nourish vitality in your life. The next 2 stanzas. I roll in the dirt, kick my feet in protest, hold my breath. I'm covered in dust. I become dust. The dust is heavy and thick. I breathe out dust. These are 2 fun stanzas. This dust part, 4 references to dust, is a nod to the Tao Te Ching, an ancient wisdom text, which contains this phrase, become like dust. I spent a whole month thinking about this phrase, and then the next 5 months making little notes about every time I thought about dust, and I came up with an idea related to dust, what I think dust might feel or experience. I wound up with like 16 pages, and this poem here is in my dust collection. Opposed to the kicking and the screaming and the holding of the breath, dust does not contend. It doesn't fight, it doesn't kick, it doesn't hold its breath. It's a non-contention. So even though this yucky state is appearing, yes, and I don't contend against this yucky state. I make room for something else to grow by planting the seed of yes and. The next stanza. Wind arises, dust devils multiply. My skillful self knits with yes and, creating beauty. And then the very next section. I wake, I bite down hard, grate my teeth, trying to keep it all down. There is a coexistence that you can cultivate in your life. The key to yes and is this both. Making space for the things that we're currently resisting, we don't want to be happening, and making space to fully love and embrace that part of yourself and make room for another part of yourself to open up and grow, so that the yucky stuff is opening up to less yucky stuff. I invite you to become skillful in knitting with yes and, to create beauty in your life, even though the yucky stuff persists. The next stanza, I grasp at responsibility. Oh, to be responsive, to respond, yes and. In my opinion, this is the most valuable part of the life-nourishing practice of yes and. Making yes and your ally gives you a way to grasp your own agency, even though you're in a restrictive state. And the restrictive states of being in survival, hypervigilance, anxiety and worry, doom and gloom, all these things restrict us and are trying to keep us alive, but also, if you've noticed, you don't have access to the better parts of yourself that makes great decisions to help you with those things. And yes and can be, by building momentum with yes and, by gaining traction, like this morning, knowing, putting my shoes on and going outside because I've done it over and over and over again, gives me confidence to break into those states, or it makes little cracks and openings for those states to expand into a better state. The poem goes on, but I'm only really going to read one last section here. Deep in the soil, I bump into a seed I planted. My yes and seed cracks. Emergent brilliance to become a new shoot. Explosive. Planting seeds in your own life creates openings. And when those seeds crack open, your brilliance can shine through. The essence of who you are. The amazingness that you forget about when you're in terrible pain or trapped in anxiety. You literally don't have access to how awesome you are. And these seeds crack open, your essence, your awesomeness can express. And that is explosive. And it's beautiful to everyone around us. I invite you to watch this poem on my channel after listening to this exposition. The title of the YouTube is "When Every Choice Feels Like Torture." The title of the film, "When every choice feels like torture." Let your brilliance shine through by adding yes and to your life nourishing practices. Thank you.